Cora Ogden. Moved here to the Triangle about 5 years ago. I've been an artist for quite a few years, for many years now actually. It's a little scary. But we moved here from Connecticut, and I wasn't too sure how it was going to go, because I was so used to the beautiful Connecticut scenery and painting, but it's gone very well. First of all, there is the North Carolina shoreline that is gorgeous, and the mountains. And found a great gallery, Bev's Fine Art, who has been very supportive, the people at Bev's, and I just, I think it's been a good thing for my work. I have the flexibility to experiment a little, again, with the gallery is very supportive of that, and that's a good thing. So I announced at the dinner table one night that I was going to become a fine arts major. It was a very quiet supper after that. But that's what I did, and never looked back. It was wonderful. It took me an extra year to get out of there, the Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting. And then I went to New Mexico, Albuquerque, and got a degree in sculpture, because I used increasingly less paint. And my canvases started coming off the wall, so to speak, and they said, well, we just can't work with you. You've got to go over to the sculpture department. So I did. I'm much a colorist, and I very much want the person to enter into my painting. It's very important to me to have dimension in my canvases. Again, it's another device to pull the viewer into the canvas, to make them feel the moment. Right. So I'm constantly looking when I'm going around, and thank goodness for smartphones. I'm now out there clicking away like crazy. And some of the stuff I just discard, some of the imagery, some I keep. It's go, you know. In fact, there are times, especially when I lived up in the greater New York area, I'd go to the big flower shops in Manhattan, and I'd go to the big produce areas and just sort of wander around and look for, you know, what looks interesting. And so I'll take pictures of all different angles and close-ups and far away and reset the scene, so that ultimately I have a really good three-dimensional depiction of the idea that I'm trying to get across. Every studio I've ever had always has what I call a thinking table. And this is where I put images out that I'm sort of thinking about and trying to decide, and they percolate in my mind. You know, I walk past, I'm aware of them, and it's just back there churning away. And sometimes it'll take a few years for an image for me to resolve the problems set up in the image. And I also keep notebooks of fun things that I've seen, images like, this is a cool image. These images will trigger an idea, the seed that then I will build upon. So I've got all of this. I have an image, actually, with the painting I'm working on right now, I have various images. I blow them up so I'm not working from a 4x6. And I start drawing it out on the canvas. So I do the grisaille painting and rub out areas where the highlights are, and then I'll even come back in white and get the pops. And that's where I began with that. And I call it the magic moment, because very quickly you can have the whole image revealed to you, you know, and it's the moment of possibility. Everything is possible then. And then you go through the slogging part where you start putting on the color, and sometimes it's really depressing because you sort of lose that wonderful possibility for a little while, and you have the middle ground where you're doing this and you're working away and putting on the color and correcting perspective and all this stuff. Then you get to the end and it all comes back again to the fun part, because every stroke you make is really having an impact. Never lay down a stroke just to put a stroke down. Always make the stroke be descriptive, never go off and have it be a stroke that can stand on its own, as opposed to just slapping some paint on there. No, I'll come back to that later. And the other thing is never try to, always resolve to come back tomorrow and paint better, paint the object better than you did today. In other words, don't try to finish it all that moment. Well, I love being outdoors, and I grew up going to the beach. I grew up being outside all the time as a child. I'm a gardener. Nature is very important to me. It's a spiritual thing also. I initially started doing still lifes, and that was kind of my base. Still lifes, and then I put a window in a still life one day with a little view out the window, and pretty soon the window became bigger, and then it became a door, and one day I actually stepped outside and poof, I had created a landscape. Pretty much never looked back. I want people to, just as I want them with my still lifes, to feel that they've walked past that table and to pick the object up. It's a narrative. Somebody just left. They were looking at a book. They left. In the landscapes, I want people to stand there with me on the edge of this woodland pool. Kind of go into that quiet time. That, it's 10 degrees cooler than it is out in the meadow beyond this. And as they look at it, ask the question, well, gee, I wonder where this path goes. Wonder what's over there, or there's a little bit of maybe this was an old farm, an abandoned farm. So create their own story from perhaps memories that they have that are half forgotten. And so that's the kind of connection I want to make with people with my still lifes, with my landscapes, and my still lifes too, actually.